The sun rises over the rooftops of ancient Rome. Light spills into narrow alleyways between stacked apartments called insulae. Roosters call, carts creak, the city stirs. In a small second-floor room, Livia opens her eyes. She's in her 30s. Her bed is a worn pile of straw and cloth. Her husband, Marcus, snores beside her. She rises quietly, washes her face in cold water, pulls her tunic over her shoulders, wraps a shawl around her head. The room is dark, except for the first streaks of daylight sneaking in through the wooden shutters. She steps outside, and the sounds of the city slowly build. The chatter of vendors, the clink of tools, the bray of donkeys, the morning smells of bread, damp stone, and the faint tang of smoke. Livia walks down the street to the Filonica, Rome's public laundry. It's a simple building with open-air stone basins and terracotta tiles. The air smells of ammonia and clay. She joins the others, women like her, shoulders hunched with labor. They greet one another with tired smiles. There is comfort in familiarity. Her task today, washing tunics brought by a senator's household. The cloth is soiled with oil and ash. She takes a large amphora of collected urine, called lant, and pours it into the basin. This is no insult. It's a cleaner, prized for its power to break down grease. She plunges the tunics into the basin, stomping them rhythmically with her feet, a method passed down through generations. Her calves ache. Her skirt clings to her knees. Her mind drifts. She thinks of her sister, married to a stonemason near the Forum, of the coin she hopes to save for a pair of sandals, of the Roman gods, Juno for strength, Vesta for home. A break comes. The women share bread soaked in watered wine, figs split open to reveal crimson flesh. Livia chews slowly, grateful. Then back to work. Now she scrapes the garments with fuller's clay, an ancient detergent made from volcanic ash. The grains cling to her fingers, drying her skin. She works in silence, the only sound the slap of wet cloth and the occasional murmur of gossip. She hangs each tunic carefully on the drying lines strung across the courtyard. The garments flap in the wind like the sails of a merchant ship. The sun climbs high. Her back stings under the heat. A crow caws overhead. A wealthy patron visits, examining his toga with critical eyes. He says little, offers fewer coins. Livia bows slightly. Respect is survival. She returns home in the afternoon, hands wrinkled and raw. Her youngest daughter meets her at the door. They embrace. Dinner is lentils, cabbage, and a sliver of cheese. The bell tolls softly across the fields. Mist lies low on the thatched rooftops of the village. In a cottage with walls of wattle and daub, Alice wakes. She is 40 but has seen more hardship than her years suggest. Her face bears the lines of sun and sorrow, her hands the strength of generations. She stirs the hearth fire back to life, adding dry wood and whispering a prayer to Saint Bridget. The embers glow. She warms her fingers before tending the pot of barley porridge. Outside, the chickens scratch the ground. Her husband, Henri, prepares the tools for the day. Their two sons argue about who will carry water. Alice settles the matter with a look. She wraps a woolen shawl around her shoulders and steps outside. The morning is cold, damp. Her feet press into the dew-soaked earth. Today she helps in the fields. The barley needs turning. The soil is rich, but stubborn. She lifts a hoe and begins to work, side by side with others. They move in a rhythm born of necessity. During a pause, she walks to the edge of the woods and gathers herbs, nettle, mugwort, and wild garlic. Her apron bulges with green. She'll use them to make a poultice for her neighbor's aching joints. Midday brings bread, a slice of salted pork, and watered ale. She sits beneath a tree and eats slowly, eyes closed, breathing in the stillness. In the afternoon, she spins wool. Her spindle turns and turns. Her daughter Leonie watches. Alice teaches her the twist of the wrist, the feel of a tight thread. They laugh when the wool tangles. Before evening, Alice helps with a birth, a neighbor's daughter delivering her first child. She brings warm water, clean cloth, and soothing words. The baby arrives pink and strong. Alice cries softly. That night, the village gathers in the longhouse. They share a stew of root vegetables and beans. A minstrel plays a tune. Children dance. Alice listens, rocking gently, her body tired, her heart full. She returns home, lights a tallow candle, kneels to pray. In bed, she pulls her daughter close. They share whispers, stories, dreams. A wind howls outside. The fire crackles. The day ends. Dawn in Edo is quiet. A faint breeze carries the scent of morning mist, of wood smoke and rice porridge. Haruki awakens on his mat. The paper walls of his home glow with the soft pale light of a rising sun. He stretches his arms overhead and listens. Sparrows chirp outside. The creaking of carts, the soft clop of hooves on packed dirt. His wife brings tea, hot, bitter, fragrant. He thanks her softly. She returns to the kitchen. The small workshop behind their home smells of glue, pine, and old paper. Haruki lights a small oil lamp. He removes his tools from a wooden drawer, bamboo frames, brushes, pots of ink. He begins by trimming paper. Washi. Carefully pressed, dried, and cut into wide sheets. His fingers are calloused. His knife is sharp. He aligns each sheet with its bamboo frame, rushing on rice glue in precise lines. He moves slowly, deliberately, each gesture learned from his father, and his grandfather before that. Haruki hums a poem under his breath, a verse by Basho, about frogs and silence. Mid-morning, a merchant arrives. He bows. They speak softly. The merchant needs 30 lanterns for a festival, with wave patterns and the emblem of his tea house. Haruki agrees. He sketches the emblem with charcoal on rice paper, repeats it, refines it. He pauses to drink more tea. He eats rice with pickled plum. The silence of the workshop is broken only by the flapping of the paper drying on its lines. Later, his apprentice arrives, a boy named Ren. Haruki teaches him to shape a new frame. The boy struggles. Haruki gently corrects him, again and again. Outside, bells ring. The hour turns. They work through the afternoon, painting patterns in indigo and black. Haruki explains the symbolism: waves for strength, cranes for longevity. The lanterns are hung to dry, rows of hollow light awaiting flame. Evening comes. The sky turns orange, then purple. Haruki walks to the shrine. He lights a lantern for his ancestors. It sways in the breeze. He returns home. His wife serves miso and radish. They eat in silence. The lamp flickers. Before bed, Haruki writes a haiku. The brush finds the curve. Night falls upon the paper. Lanterns wait for flame. He smiles. He lies down. The paper walls glow faintly in the moonlight. The day ends. London wakes under a fog. The air smells of coal smoke and damp stone. A horse-drawn cart rattles along the cobbled street. Edwin stirs under a thin blanket. He is 12. His bed is a pile of straw in the corner of a chimney sweep's rented room. His master, Mr. Griggs, grunts awake. "Up, boy!" They eat a crust of bread and cold tea. No words. The boots go on. The brush is packed, the rope coiled. They walk, boots splashing in puddles. Chimneys belch black smoke overhead. Crows caw on rooftops. The first house is large. The maid lets them in through the tradesman's door. Mr. Griggs speaks with the butler. Edwin begins. He strips off his coat and climbs the narrow flue. It's cold, then hot, dark, then darker. His hands are black with soot, his knees scraped. He brushes, scrapes, brushes again, chokes on soot, comes out coughing. Mr. Griggs nods. They move on. The day continues, house after house, chimney after chimney. By noon, Edwin eats a meat pie with dirty fingers. He sits on the curb, watches a steam cart pass by. Afternoon rain slicks the cobbles. They enter a shop to clean the parlor stove. The smell of tobacco and ink fills the room. Mr. Griggs brags to the owner, "Best sweep in Whitechapel." Edwin nods, silent. The soot clings to his skin, even his teeth taste of ash. Evening falls, fog thickens, the gas lights flicker yellow. They return home. Edwin scrubs his arms with cold water, eats a bit of cheese. He lies down again in straw, sore, blackened, tired. Somewhere outside, a clock strikes 9. A train whistles far off. Sleep comes. The day ends. The sun rises, pink and golden above the plains. The acacia trees stretch long shadows across the red earth. Birds trill from the brush. Janeba opens her eyes. The mat beneath her is warm. Her hut smells of dust, millet, and smoke. She steps outside, wraps a cloth over her head, and breathes deep. Her loom sits beneath the shade tree. She checks the thread. Cotton spun by her daughter, dyed with indigo yesterday. Deep, rich blue. She boils water for tea, stirs the pot of millet porridge. Children stir. Chickens cluck. After breakfast, she ties her wrap tightly and sits at the loom. Her fingers move with the rhythm of tradition. Pull, pass, tighten. Each pattern tells a story. Lines that echo rainfall, dots for ancestral paths, a diamond for the moon. A neighbor visits. They talk as hands move. About weddings, about the dry season, about a trader from the coast. She takes a break at midday, drinks cool water, eats groundnuts and yam. Watches goats wander near the shade. Her son brings firewood. Her youngest daughter sings. In the afternoon, she sets up a new thread. Pale yellow, for a bride's head wrap. She hums an old song, a story about a woman who wove all night to save her village. The cloth grows, inch by inch. The sun begins to set, orange sky. The call to prayer echoes from a distance. Janeba finishes her work, folds the cloth carefully, places it in a gourd basket. She helps prepare dinner, okra stew, stirred slowly over flame. They eat together, stories are told, the children laugh. That night she oils her loom, wraps her cloth, prays, lies down. The stars appear, the world quiets, the day ends.
The call to prayer rises in the gray-blue dawn. Birds stir in the palm trees. In the quiet before the market awakens, Fatima opens her eyes. Her small home in Baghdad is simple. Plaster walls, a wooden chest, a woven mat where she and her daughter sleep. The air is cool, perfumed faintly with spices left from yesterday's cooking. She lights the stove. Olive oil sizzles in a clay pan. She grinds cumin, coriander, and dried mint. The scent drifts into the air like a poem. She prepares breakfast: flatbread, olives, pickled lemon. Her daughter yawns and joins her. They sit cross-legged, share a silent prayer, eat slowly. Fatima works in the kitchen of a mid-ranking merchant. Today is market day, and the house expects guests. She wraps her scarf, collects her basket, and steps into the morning streets. Baghdad hums. Men unload baskets of dates. Poets argue under awnings. A boy balances pomegranates in both arms. Fatima weaves through them, selecting lentils, lamb, and dried apricots. Back at the house, she washes rice until the water runs clear. She stews lamb with cinnamon and saffron, chops herbs by rhythm, adds rose water at just the right moment. The kitchen is hot. Her sleeves are rolled high. She hums a tune her mother used to sing. The stew thickens, rich and fragrant. She arranges dates and sugared almonds in a wide bowl, wipes the brass trays, sets fresh mint in a glass of water. When the guests arrive, laughter fills the house. Fatima listens from behind the curtain. She hears praise for the food. A small smile crosses her lips. After the meal, she shares sweets with the other kitchen women. They speak of dreams, of omens. Of a traveling astrologer they heard speak in the market square. Evening cools the city. The breeze smells of river water and jasmine. Fatima walks home under the stars. She washes her hands in a clay basin, kisses her daughter's forehead, lies down on the mat. Outside, a poet recites under a lantern. The day ends. Snow dusts the fields outside St. Petersburg. In a wooden servant's hut behind a grand estate, Yelena stirs under thick wool blankets. The fire is low. She pulls on a shawl, wraps her scarf tight, and steps out into the pale blue dawn. Her boots crunch over ice. The silence is total, save for the distant caw of crows. She enters the main house through the servant's door. The marble floors are cold underfoot. She curtsies instinctively as she passes portraits of stern ancestors and gilt-framed saints. Today, her task is polishing the brass samovar and preparing the main salon for a visiting nobleman. She begins by dusting the carved wood panels. The scent of beeswax and old books fills the air. She lights the fireplaces, carefully arranges embroidered cushions, brushes crumbs from velvet chairs. In the kitchen, she prepares tea, loose leaves, dried orange peel, clove. She stokes the fire beneath the samovar and listens to the hiss of steam. The master's children rush in, their laughter echoing. One asks for jam. Yelena complies. She offers a rare smile. Later, she scrubs the marble stair treads with icy water. Her fingers are numb, her knuckles raw, but she hums a lullaby from her village as she works. Her voice is soft, almost lost in the silence. Lunch for the household means pastries, salted fish, and mushroom soup. Yelena eats later dark rye bread and a bit of goat cheese seated with the other maids near the stables. The sky darkens by mid-afternoon. Snow falls again, swirling under lantern light. She prepares the guest rooms, warms bricks to place under the covers, folds linens with quiet precision. By nightfall, her back aches. Her dress smells of smoke and polish. In the servant's hut, she removes her boots slowly, wraps a scarf around her feet. She watches the candle flicker beside her bed, closes her eyes, dreams of the birch forest near her childhood home. The day ends. The ocean sings quietly before the sun rises. The surf pulls and releases against the rocky shore. In a reed hut near the water's edge, Matteo wakes. He's barefoot before the stars fade. He checks his net hand tied, weighted with smooth stones. He wraps his shoulder in a woven cloth and steps into the soft, pink light. The village sleeps behind him. A thin plume of smoke from an elder's hut, a carved totem guarding the cliff path. He walks the stone trail to the beach. The sand is cold. The sea foam kisses his toes. Matteo sets the canoe into the waves. Made of totora reeds, it rocks gently as he climbs in. He rows with long, practiced strokes. The horizon begins to glow. Far from shore, he casts his net. The weight is long. He watches birds spiral above the waves. Thinks of the stories told by his grandfather of fish spirits and moon women. He pulls in his net. Silver flashes. A modest catch, but enough. He heads back, salt crusting on his skin. The shore nears. Smoke from breakfast. Fires winds upward. Children run to meet him. He shares part of the catch with the village elder, then cleans and dries the rest on woven racks. His wife, Amauta, prepares maize cakes and boiled potatoes. They eat in the shade of a fig tree. In the afternoon, Matteo mends the net. A hole here, a loose knot there. His son watches, curious. Matteo teaches him the weave. Slow, careful. The boy's fingers fumble. They laugh. Later, he trades fish for fruit in the village square. Speaks briefly with a weaver about ordering a new poncho. As the sun lowers, Matteo walks to the cliffs, offers a coca leaf to the sea. A prayer to Mama Cocha, for calm tides, for safe passage. Back home, they cook stew in a clay pot, eat slowly, tell stories. His son falls asleep in his arms. The waves whisper outside. The stars shimmer. The day ends. The sun begins its slow climb over the Nile. Light scatters across the water like gold dust. Feeds wakes gently. The soft bray of donkeys, the creak of wooden carts, the call of a temple priest. In a small mud brick house near the temple of Ammon, Amara opens her eyes. She lies on a woven reed mat, the scent of incense and old papyrus still lingering from yesterday. She washes her hands and face in a clay basin, binds her dark hair, wraps herself in a linen sheath, slips on sandals. She steps outside into the dry morning air. Her master, a temple scribe, is already up, sharpening a reed pen. Amara bows respectfully and begins her work. She sweeps the sand from the threshold, opens the shutters to let in morning light. She arranges the day's scrolls, long sheets of papyrus, neatly on a low table. Her tasks are humble but vital, grinding ochre and carbon into ink, mixing it with water, refilling the inkwell, trimming pens, preparing surfaces for writing. She listens to the scribe read aloud legal contracts, temple records, and poetry to the gods. Occasionally, he asks her to recite a list of accounts or copy a symbol. Her hand is steady, her mind sharp. During the midday rest, she eats lentils, figs, and barley bread. She sits in the shade, watching birds wheel above the palm trees. Later, she helps copy sacred texts for the temple library, prayers to Osiris, hymns to Ra. She chants them under her breath as she works. The words have power. They settle into the air like smoke. Before sundown, she walks to the riverbank, watches fishermen haul in nets. The temple bells ring. Priests in white linen pass by, their sandals silent on the stones. At home, her mother stews lentils with leeks and coriander. They eat slowly, quietly, under a fading pink sky. That night, she oils the writing tools, wraps the scrolls carefully, bows before her small household shrine, lights a candle. The stars over Thebes shine cold and ancient. The day ends. The mist hangs low over the hills. The peaks of the Carpathians pierce the sky like stone teeth. Somewhere deep in the forest, wolves call. Radu wakes to the smell of damp wool and pine. His hut is small, built of timber and stone, roofed with thatch. The fire has gone out, but the coals still glow. He stretches beneath a fur blanket and sits up. His hands are rough. His breath fogs in the cold air. Outside, the flock stirs. Shaggy sheep and shaggy dogs. He whistles. They begin to rise. Radu drinks cold goat's milk and chews a crust of rye bread left from last night. Then, with staff in hand, he opens the pen. They begin the slow, winding path into the hills. Dew clings to every blade of grass. The silence is broken only by bells tied to the sheep's necks and the occasional caw of a raven. He guides the flock to a high pasture. The sky clears. The sun breaks through like molten gold. While the sheep graze, Radu mends a leather strap, carves a notch into a wooden whistle, listens to the wind in the trees, watches for movement on the distant ridgelines. At midday, he sits beneath a pine, eats onions, smoked cheese, and dried meat, sips plum brandy from a flask. A traveler passes on horseback. They greet in few words, exchange news. The road is safe. but bandits roam near the pass. In the afternoon, Radu plays a slow tune on his flute, a sad song about an old bear and a stolen sheep. The mountains echo it back. By dusk, the shadows stretch long across the valley. He whistles again. The sheep gather. They begin the walk home. Back at the hut, he lights the fire, melts fat into a pan, fries onions, eats stew from a wooden bowl. The wind howls outside. He sharpens his knife by firelight, pets his dog, smokes a pipe, thinks of the stories his grandfather told about wolves who turned into men and stars that whispered secrets. The mountains are dark now. The fire crackles. The day ends. A bell chimes softly across the village. Mist floats above the rice paddies. The cherry trees sway gently in the spring breeze. In a small wooden house, May rises with the first light. Her mother has already boiled water for tea. May ties her long hair and slips into a robe the color of morning fog. She steps outside. The mulberry trees wait, full, green, and rich with silkworms. She inspects the leaves carefully, plucking a basketful. Her younger brother helps carry them to the trays inside, where the worms feed quietly. The air smells faintly of leaves, warmth, and clean water. In the weaving house, she joins other women at the spinning wheels. The hum of silk thread winding onto bobbins fills the space like a lullaby. May's hands move with practiced grace. She draws the threads from cocoons, dipping them into hot water. The silk flows like water. She spins and spins. She listens to an older woman recite poetry. Libai, something about rivers and moonlight. The words hang in the warm air. At noon, they pause for rice dumplings and ginger broth. They eat in the shade. A butterfly lands on May's sleeve. She smiles but says nothing. In the afternoon, she begins weaving. Her shuttle flies back and forth across the loom. The pattern she follows has been passed down through generations. Mountains, clouds, cranes. The cloth grows. Silken, shimmering, like water under moonlight. She thinks of her mother's wedding robe. Of the silk her aunt once sent to the capital. Of the messenger who passed through last month and bought 3 lengths for a scholar's daughter. Evening falls. She carefully folds the fabric, washes her hands with rice water, lights incense. That night, she writes a poem of her own. The thread hums gently. My fingers shape a river. The world flows in silk. The lamp flickers. Outside, the wind brushes the trees. The day ends. Morning light seeps through the shutters of a small stone cottage nestled between rolling fields. The air is cool, moist with dew, and carries the faint scent of fresh earth and blooming lavender. Marguerite rises before dawn, her body used to the rhythm of the seasons. She dresses in a simple linen gown, warm but clean, and pulls on wooden clogs. Outside, the village slowly stirs. The rooster crows, a horse whinnies softly from a nearby barn. Smoke curls lazily from chimneys. Marguerite heads to the garden. The soil is dark and soft beneath her fingers. She checks the rows of cabbages, lettuces, and fragrant herbs, thyme, rosemary, and sage. Her hands are calloused but gentle as she weeds, loosens soil, and tends tiny seedlings. She breathes in the morning chill, listening to birdsong and the distant murmur of a stream. By mid-morning, she carries baskets of fresh vegetables to the village market. The square is alive. Vendors arrange their stalls. Merchants haggle. Children dart through the crowds. Marguerite arranges her produce carefully. Bright carrots, crisp radishes, shiny apples. She greets familiar faces. Some buy for the chateau, others for their kitchens. She chats quietly, exchanging news about the harvest and the upcoming festival. Back home, she prepares a simple meal of fresh bread, cheese, and nettle soup. She rests briefly before returning to the garden, harvesting herbs to dry for winter. Afternoon wanes. She mends a basket, repairs a fence. The sun warms her back. As twilight falls, Marguerite lights a lantern. She tends a small hearth fire, boiling water for tea. Her family gathers around the table. Tales of the day, laughter, the clinking of cups. Outside, crickets chirp and the sky deepens into indigo. Before bed, she steps outside once more. The fields are quiet. Stars glitter cold and distant. The day ends. The town is cloaked in gray mist and soot. Chimneys billow thick smoke into a heavy sky. The streets are narrow and cobbled, puddles of rainwater reflecting flickering gas lamps. Jack awakens in a cramped row house. The walls thin, the air thick with coal dust and the scent of boiled cabbage. His mother stokes the small stove while Jack dresses quickly. Today, he will help his father, who is preparing to descend into the mine. Breakfast is sparse: bread, margarine, and weak tea. No time for talk. Outside, the clatter of carts, the clang of metal, and the shouted orders of foremen fill the air. Jack and his father walk to the pithead, the massive wooden structure looming like a giant skeleton. The mine is a world of darkness and noise. Jack waits near the entrance, carrying tools, helping as needed. His father, a seasoned miner, descends the shaft. Jack watches the cage disappear into the earth. Hours pass. The town hums with daily life. Laundry hangs, shopkeepers, sweet doorsteps. Children play in alleys. At midday, Jack helps unload coal carts. His hands are rough and dirty, his clothes stained. The sun struggles through the clouds as evening approaches. The lamps flicker on. His father returns, face smeared with coal dust but eyes bright. They share a modest supper. Jack listens as his father talks quietly about the day's work, the dangers, the camaraderie underground. Outside, the wind whistles through narrow streets. Jack lies down on a straw mattress, the smell of smoke and coal heavy around him. Sleep comes, slow and deep. The day ends. The city is shrouded in a patchwork of shadows and searchlight beams. Air raid sirens echo faintly in the distance. The smell of rain and burning is faint but persistent. Sophia wakes quickly in a small shared room at the hospital. The muffled sounds of distant bombs roll like thunder. She dresses in her uniform, starched white apron over navy blue, her cap pinned neatly. The ward is busy, filled with injured soldiers and civilians. The air smells of antiseptic, sweat, and medicine. She moves quietly but efficiently, checking charts, adjusting bandages, offering a gentle word. The night shifts are long, the work exhausting but vital. During a brief moment in the early morning, Sophia drinks weak tea and eats a slice of bread, sitting near a window fogged with breath. Outside, the city waits, tense, waiting for the next air raid. She remembers the streets she walked as a girl, now dark and dangerous. Her hands steady, she comforts a frightened child, cleans wounds, and charts medicines. As dawn breaks, a lull falls over the hospital. The sun peeks behind thick clouds. Sophia sits for a moment, fatigue heavy, but the sense of purpose steady in her heart. She thinks of home, of letters from family, of a future after the war. The day continues, slow and relentless. Evening comes again. The city sleeps fitfully. The day ends.
Across centuries, across continents, the sun has risen and set over countless ordinary lives. These were not the kings or the warriors, not the scientists or the poets whose names echo through time, but they were the rhythm of history, the heartbeat of their worlds. Their hands built, cleaned, wove, carried, fed. Their days were quiet, repetitive, humble, yet beautiful in their own way. Let their stories linger with you, in silence, in rest. Good night.